Get cleansing wrong, and it's very hard to get skincare right. So today I'm going to be helping you get the most out of your cleansing step, sharing my top recommendations for best cleansers, and helping you cleanse like a pro. Hey guys, today I'm kicking off my Skincare 101 series, going right back to basics on how you build a stellar skincare routine, because I know that many of you might still be in a state of confusion, or you might be new to my channel. So I'm going to share with you the results of nearly 20 years looking after people's skin, my best choice when it comes to skincare products, so that you can really make the most of what you're doing for your skin. So let's think about why cleansing is so fundamental to our skincare routine. So in the morning, when we cleanse, what we're doing is getting rid of the excessive oils that have collected in the skin overnight. We might be removing any residue of our nighttime skincare routine, and we're also going to be getting rid of dead skin cells. At nighttime, however, it's a different matter. We're taking off the products we've been wearing on our skin during the day. So that often means makeup. I hope it definitely means sunscreen. And we're also removing elements from the environment, like pollution that have collected on our skin over the course of the day as well. So cleansing to me is just an essential. Even if you have a dry skin type, I think a morning cleanse is still an important part of your routine. We just modify the way we practice the cleanse. Now, the thing is, if you get cleansing wrong, you can really disrupt your skin's function. And that is why it's so important to do it correctly. Something I think that many people don't really get taught. When I think back to my youth, I started out my cleansing journey with the Anne French cleansing milk, which was essentially a very gentle emollient-based cleanser, but it had lots and lots of citrus elements, which it turns out my skin's very sensitive to. So my first foray into the cleansing world was actually really quite irritating. It upset my skin barrier, and I ended up quite red, raw, and unhappy. And at that time, of course, I was starting out to cleanse because I was starting to get breakouts. And the last thing you want when you're tackling a problem like clogged pores and breakouts is to start with an irritated skin barrier, because it means that you're very unlikely to be able to cope with the active products that are going to sort your skin out. So in my mind, cleansing, first and foremost, do no harm. But at the same time, all cleansing inherently takes away a little bit of our skin's essential barrier. Simply the act of being in contact with water does that. So it really does mean that you have to choose your cleanser with care. And something else I think that's worth addressing is that with cleansing, I really think we should be realistic about what we're trying to achieve. So for me, it is literally the act of removing things from the skin that shouldn't be there. At no point in time do I expect a cleanser to sort out a skin problem, whether that's rosacea or acne or aging concerns like pigmentation. It simply isn't the right way to approach cleansing. So I think with that in mind, we can be really practical, and we can also afford to be quite cost effective, because at the end of the day, the function required of a cleanser is quite simple. It's only on your skin for a matter of 1 minute, if that. A lot of people cut corners a little bit. I'm all for a gentle but significant single cleanse. And I think that's the way to do it safely, effectively, but also recognize that if you have active ingredients in there, they're going down the sink very quickly. So that means to me that spending a lot of money on a cleanser just doesn't make a huge amount of sense. Which brings me on to where cleansing is right now. And I think cleansing has become something of a form of entertainment, something that I'm really quite against. I have been really since I started talking on social media about the best way to go about building a skincare routine. I haven't really changed my stance in that, and that's, you know, over the course of however many 8 to 10 years I've been making videos for you guys. And I think it's because I've seen so many patients who've come to see me caught up in trends like double cleansing or using cleansing devices or some sort of elaboration on the basics that just hasn't helped them. It's impacted skin barrier function, or it's created clogging and congestion and just made everything that much harder. So I really do feel that simplicity is fundamental to so much of skincare, but really never more so than when it comes to cleansing. When it comes to choosing a cleanser, my honest belief is that one type of cleanser will serve the majority of people. Now, as I said, I'm an advocate of a single cleanse. I think you get into multiple cleansing steps, you end up really setting yourself up for failure in a way by depleting the skin's barrier. So I like a single effective cleanse. I like it to be non-fragrance because I just don't believe in the addition of potential irritants into a routine. We can get the fragrance experience from scenting the air, burning a candle and so forth. Let's not put it in our skincare products because so many people do get irritated or develop allergy through exposure to fragrance. I like it to be non-comedogenic in terms of the ingredients because, again, why would we take the risk? Anyone can break out if provoked enough with the wrong sorts of products. And again, I've seen too many balms, too many oils lead to congested skin, which otherwise wouldn't be congested. And when you take away the products, things get better. So let's not create problems for ourselves just as a kind of, a result of the entertaining aspect of doing lots of skincare steps. I know many of you do really enjoy your skincare ritual, but let's keep it safe, shall we? Yeah, essentially that's it. I don't like foam because, again, I think that takes too much away. And that's the case for the majority of people. So at least 60% of us have combination skin, myself included. So really, it's a relative minority who have very oily skin and have very dry skin. Most of us are somewhere in the middle. And I truly believe that a kind of gel rinse-off cleanser, a bit like Flawless Cleanser. And, Flawless Cleanser came about because other brands kept discontinuing this sort of cleanser, a gentle, gel-based, wash-off, effective in one cleanse, doesn't clog up pores, doesn't cause problems, just sits quietly in the background of your skincare routine, making everything easier. So that's why I'm such a fan of this style of a cleanser. And as I said, I use this in clinic. I give this to almost everyone because almost everyone, this is the kind of cleanser that will suit them best. However, I have a couple of others that I keep in my toolkit. So for those who have very oily skin and where oil is a big problem, they just don't like a dewy finish. And I do find that's the case more often than not. So those who are in the middle or are dry tend to want a dewy finish. Those who are oily tend to crave a matte finish. And I think it is that thing of always thinking the grass is a little greener. The dry skinned person often would love to have that kind of a problem in the sense that they would love that little bit more brightness and radiance that comes from having a bit more oil in their skin. But if you crave matteness, and there's nothing wrong with that, then something like a salicylic acid cleanser, and I like this one from CeraVe because it's affordable, it's well formulated, they've balanced out the slightly irritating part of the actives in the formula with some niacinamide and some ceramides, which is kind of the signature part of the CeraVe product range. And I have to be honest, I use this more often on the body than I do on the face, but for those who really want their cleanser to leave them less greasy, this can help. Salicylic acid is fat soluble, can help reduce both clogged pores, a bit of oiliness, and can even help with breakouts. But again, not typically on the skin for long enough to really make a massive impact, and truly better to leave on in the form of a leave-on product if we're trying to control a skincare problem. And then finally, I have a couple of cleansers I like for those with very dry skin or those who are going through skin reactions. This is just a small tester, but it's the Avène Tolerance Extreme Cleansing Lotion. And essentially products of this type are really just a more liquid form of emollient or moisturizing ingredients. This one is predominantly water and squalene. Squalene is a skin-like oil that comes from plants that you'll find in a lot of the products in my range because it's just such a physiologically correct sort of ingredient. It's in our skin naturally, and it can help cleanse in a really gentle, non-drying way. You can cleanse with this sort of product without actually using water. And bear in mind that water will always deplete your skin barrier. Think about how your skin feels when you get out of the bath. You've been sitting in it for 20 minutes. You know, it feels a little wrinkly. That's because you've leached away some of those surface lipids. And those are what help the skin hold water in it over the course of the day and stop it from drying out. And we're in a constant quest to stop our skin from drying out because everything tends to be drying, including the air quality most of us spend most of our time in, whether it's centrally heated or air conditioned, or if we're outside in the sunshine. Those sorts of conditions tend to reduce the amount of water in our skin. So we don't want our cleanser to leave us depleted. That's really not the point. So I find that with those 3 types of cleansers, I look after the majority of people. Sometimes people have very specific ideas of a product they want to continue to use. So that's fine. We go through the ingredients, make sure there's nothing harmful in there. But I find that with my patients, I'm almost always changing their routines, and I find that those products really do serve me well. Now, when it comes to how you use a cleanser, the details are important. I'm, an obsessive when it comes to making sure that the details are correct, because that way I think you really build habits that serve you. And with skincare, it's all about minimal gains. It's about the small incremental improvements that we see every single day that stack up over weeks, months, years, decades to deliver beautiful skin for the long term. So, cleansing. We want to ensure that our hair is back off our face, that our décolletage is clear. It's often best to take off jewelry and things as well. Anything that would impede you from being thorough with your cleanse. If you're using a wash-off gel cleanser, you're going to want to wet your skin first. Now, the water that you use for cleansing is very important. We don't want it too hot. We don't want it too cold. We want it in the middle. We want it just right. Then you want to take the right amount of product. Now, Flawless Cleanser is designed with a pump so that you can see how much you're using and be consistent. And I recommend 1 pump in the morning and 2 pumps at night to allow for the fact that at nighttime, you are taking more off your skin. But essentially, you want about a 10p sized amount of product for the morning and probably twice that for the evening. And I think that makes sense. We want to use the least drying cleanser possible. That means committing to a little bit more time, allowing it to really lift and emulsify the cosmetics, the sunscreen, the dirt, the oils that are on our skin. If you're using a lotion type product for dry skin, oftentimes the principles are the same. Damp skin, massaging the product in thoroughly, taking your time. With that sort of product, you can happily go around the eyes. With a salicylic acid based cleanser, I don't encourage use around the eyes. I mean, you have to be more careful with any cleanser that contains actives. And I guess that's one of the main reasons on the whole I don't really like actives in skincare, in cleansers, simply because invariably you get a bit of drying effect. If you have AHAs or benzoyl peroxide, the eye area might well suffer accordingly. So if you have very oily skin, you probably have a more forgiving eye area, but just be conscious, be aware of that and try to avoid cleanser going around the eyes. You will probably need to use a dedicated eye makeup remover for removing cosmetics at nighttime in that instance. But for the dry skin types where you're using more of a lotion cleanser, you can use it with water so you can dampen the skin, apply the cleanser, let it do its thing, take plenty of time, use plenty of product, wipe it off with wet cotton pads so you've got minimal friction, and then rinse the residue clear. Or if you have very, very dry skin and don't tend to break out, then a water-free cleanse is also possible with this sort of product. You literally apply it to dry skin and then wipe it off, and that's it. As far as tools to use alongside your cleanser, I'm a fan of these. Nothing rougher than fingertips. Anything else will introduce a degree of friction if you have to, if you're wearing a lot of makeup. And again, I think when it comes to cleansing, it's important to look at the practices that you're using in the day, because they will to some extent determine how hard you have to cleanse. So you probably heard me rant about this before, but I do think that long wear makeup is the devil in some ways, because you have to work so hard to get the stuff off. And I just think that that kind of cycle invariably leads to irritable skin because you're having to work so hard to remove those kind of cosmetics. Better that you work on the skin, get it into its best possible state, light coverage products, SPF, and then you're really just cleansing in a more gentle, less aggressive way. So ideally these, and if you have to use something to lift the cleanser off, then a wet muslin cloth that's very fine textured, or wet cotton pads. But again, it's a lifting action, not an exfoliation, abrasive thing that we're doing here. And then finally, we're gonna pat dry gently with the clean towel. So again, it's tempting to kind of get in there and, give it a good old toweling dry, but I really do want you to think of your skin as the most precious form of silk. Gently pat it dry, no aggression, no rough stuff. So that once you're finished, you really have a comfortable face. You don't have that tight, feeling that so many people, I think, associate with being synonymous with being clean, when of course it's too clean. So let's pat dry. Ideally, your skin should feel like it did before you cleanse. So there shouldn't be that feeling of depletion in the skin, because that's the best way to set yourself up for your next steps. On a final note, double cleansing is super popular and there are those who are advocates of it, and I know I won't sway them away from it, but again, it does come back to this matter of what's on your skin in the first place and how you go about removing it. So my whole philosophy is about empowering you to get the best from your skincare so that you correct any problems that then allow you to really be more comfortable in your own skin, and to use cosmetics as a tool of enhancement rather than something that you need, that you rely on to hide behind. And with that philosophy, I think it lends itself to a more gentle cleanse, because hopefully you're in a comfortable place and not needing to wear quite so much makeup. So double cleansing works for you, go for it, that's grand. But just be conscious of whether or not there might be another way. A single cleanse is more affordable. It's, literally one cleanse rather than two cleansers. And I do think it's ultimately the kindest way to look after your skin barrier. So I hope that's helped you see that good cleansing is really a skincare fundamental and is really crucial to setting yourself up for skincare success. So if you like this video today, please make sure you're subscribed and hit like so I know that. And do come back next week, as I'm going to be doing a deep dive into how to moisturize. Bye for now.